Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a really special video for you. Today I will be talking and telling the story of our proposal, so stay tuned. And at the end of this video I will upload the video of it. It's not the best quality, but it kind of shows what I'm talking about this entire video. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, so where do I even start? How about, let's start with we have Friday night dinners. Every Friday night, it's a family dinner at his house, all the siblings come, all the grandkids, nieces, nephews, everyone comes, and we just sit down, have a meal together, and it's awesome. So, one Friday night, while William was home, he had just gotten home from boot camp. He had been home for a week. And he had a longer stay because he had RA, which is recruiter's assistant, so he got to stay home for a month instead of usually they are only allowed to stay home for 10 days. So that was super exciting. And then Carla, his mom, got a call one of these Friday night dinners and said, hey, can William come and help with a toy run at the Grilly Griswolds, because he's a Marine and they do Toys for Tots. And so Carla was like, oh yeah, that would be so much fun. We'll bring the whole family, it'll be a nice night out for all of us, because the toy run was on a Friday night, so all the family was going to be there. So the Grilly Griswolds, if y'all don't know what the Grilly Griswolds is, you should go look it up. It's awesome. It is a house that decorates, every square inch of their house, yard, backyard, side yard, everything, with Christmas lights, Christmas decorations, little Christmas light up animals, everything. And one of the owners will dress up as Santa Claus and do a toy run and talk to the kids and, ask them what they want for Christmas and all of that stuff. And so one of the toy runs, they wanted a Marine to be there. Well, Tammy, the wife that owns that house, is friends with Chris's mom, Carla. They work in the hospital together. And so she called her and was like, hey, would William be willing to do this? And William's like, of course. He loves kids. So we all agreed to it. And it was supposed to be, I think it was the next Friday. Or 2 Fridays away. One of those. In that time, though, William started talking about taking me to the Melting Pot the next Saturday, the Saturday after the Grilly Griswolds. And the Melting Pot is a really nice restaurant. Me and him usually go to Old Chicago and order a bunch of appetizers and call it good. So I was like, what? We never go out to places this nice. And that's not that's just because we don't want to. They're expensive. So he asked me to go out there, and I was like, okay. Well, then the rest of the week, he started dropping hints I'm gonna wear a suit. And I was like, no, don't wear a suit. Why are you gonna wear a suit? So I was like, what? That's interesting. So before Chris graduated boot camp, me and his mom had went shopping for dresses for the first time that I saw him after boot camp and all of that stuff. And I found this black and white polka dot dress. So cute. And I got it for when we would go on special dates and stuff. Hopefully I was like, I'm going to be wearing this dress when we get engaged. Well, Carla, and I even told her that. So Carla was telling me, she's like, maybe you should wear that dress to the Melting Pot. Wear that dress to the Melting Pot. Do it. And so I'm like, yeah, that's when it's going to happen. That's not when it happened. So, Friday of the Grilly Griswolds, I got out of school, and Chris had been texting me all day. He texted me a normal amount, but he had been texting me a lot that day. I mean, at least every hour, and just about the most random things. So I was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? So I go home, I get changed because after school is about time to go. We were going to get dinner before. So I went home and I got changed. I was gonna put on like the normal, you're gonna be standing outside in the cold for a very long time outfit. Fuzzy socks, leggings, heavy jacket, a beanie over my head, like all that stuff. I was gonna take off my makeup. I do pin curls for school. I go to school for hairstyling, so I do pin curls in my hair because it keeps like everything out of my face when I'm trying to do people's hair. And I was going to take that out. I was going to throw my hair in a ponytail. Like, yeah. So then I was like, well, I'm going to be in front of a lot of people. So why not look presentable? So I put on a cute little flannel button-up shirt. I kept my hair the way it was, kept my makeup on. I put on my good jeans. I can't even remember what shoes I was wearing. I think I was wearing my Ariat slip-on shoes. And then I forgot a jacket, so when I got to his house, I had to steal one of his sweaters. So it was interesting. Glad I did that. But I got dressed. I went to his house. What was weird was as I was leaving, my grandma pulled up to my house. And I was like, okay, they're probably going to go get dinner. That's all right. And I'm not joking. When I walked out into the living room, every single one of them looked at me like this. And that's how I walked in and walked out to, like, everyone. My grandma, my stepdad, my sister, my mom. Like, they were all smiling at me. So weird. And I was like, okay. So I walked out. I go over to their house. I get to their house, and Carla and Mr. Chris are dressed up nice. Carla's got on her good purple sweater. Her hair's done. She's got her makeup. It's not like her normal makeup, it's like her going out makeup, you know? And she's got on her boots and her good jeans, and Mr. Chris isn't in Harley Davidson attire, which rarely ever happens, only on special occasions. So I'm like, okay, it's probably just because we're going to be out in front of everyone. Carla wants to wear a sweater to stay warm, you know, all that stuff. William comes walking out, and I didn't expect anything different, but you know, he's got his boots, his jeans, his belt, and his button-up shirt on, and he goes walking outside, and I mean, the kid couldn't sit down. I was like, chill. You could tell he was nervous because I love him so much. He talks a lot, and that's one of the things I actually love about him, because I love having good conversations. But he couldn't quit talking. And I'm like, are you okay? And he does that when he's nervous. Because when you've been around someone for this long, you know how they act when they're nervous, when they're scared, all that stuff. So I know how he acts when he's nervous. So we get in the car. We're driving to dinner. Chris wants to go to Cable's. It's like this little, like, pub place. It's got a bar inside. Yeah. And so we go there. He usually gets one of their big old calzones when he's there. Instead, he orders a little tiny thing of soup. And I'm not over exaggerating. It's one of those, like, appetizer soups. And it's tiny. And I'm like, you don't even like soup. So why did you order that? And he's like, I'm just not that hungry. And so 5 minutes later, his drink is gone. And I'm like, are you thirsty? He goes, yeah. So then he orders a whole pitcher of sweet tea for himself. And he had that gone within 10 minutes. And I was like, what the heck? So I knew he was nervous, but I thought it was because, you know, he's going to be up there in front of all these people and doing toys and stuff, and he always gets really nervous around Christmas that he's going to ruin the thing with Santa Claus, you know, for little kids. So he was nervous. And that's why I thought he was nervous. When we're walking into this restaurant, though, it was really funny because I went to go, like, hug him, and his jacket had, like, his little zip up right here, and I put my hand on there, and he kind of breathed, and I was like, okay. Well, then I go, I'm nervous. And he goes, I don't have a ring. Look, you can check me everywhere. Check me. Look. I don't have one. I don't know why you're nervous. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, William, I'm nervous because this is the first time our parents have ever sat down to dinner together. So I'm not going to lie. There for a second, I was kind of like, that was weird, you know? So I was loving on him, hugging on him. I mean, I haven't seen him in 4 months. I haven't even been able to talk to him in 4 months. So I was so happy to see him, and I was loving on him, hugging on him, everything. We walk into the restaurant, and I turn the corner, and I see my entire family and my grandma. So my stepdad, my mom, Riley, my little sister, and my grandma, and my mom. Oh, I think I already said my mom. Yeah. And they're all sitting there, and again, I walk in, and they just smile at me, and I was like, did y'all eat something funny today? Like, are you okay? So we're sitting down to dinner, and I pretty much already told you how that went. He ordered the little soup. He drank a whole pitcher of sweet tea to himself. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to do that, but the amount of time it took him to do that, I knew that he was nervous. So then all of a sudden, his mom was sitting right next to me. She taps me. She goes, come to the bathroom with me. And I'm like, it's right there. Okay. So I walked in there with her, and she goes to the bathroom, and then she comes out, washes her hands, looks at me, she goes, so I called you in here because I needed to talk to you because I think, and like, she made this story up, but she goes, I think that her daughter Ashley is talking to someone else and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm like, why did you have to pull me into the bathroom to tell me this? Like, we talk about this stuff all the time. So I was like, why? Well, when I get back out there, I had set my phone on Chris's jacket, and he had set my phone back where it was, but moved his jacket over. And so I was like, it's no biggie. Maybe he just, like, wanted to move it or something. So I didn't think about it. So then here came the time. Chris was supposed to be there at 7:15. And so we were leaving, I think it was like 6:45, and they were across the town. And so Chris was like freaking out, and he was like, we gotta get there, Dad, you gotta speed, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, here I am thinking it's a boot camp thing because they taught them that if you're there on time, then you're late type of thing. So I'm like, oh, it's just that. It's fine. So we're on our way there. We get there, and I see Ashley, Lexi, his two sisters, Lexi's husband, and their little boy Parker, and then I see Ashley's two girls, Shiloh and Stacey, and I was like, yeah, okay. It's the Grilly Griswolds. They want to bring their kids to see Santa Claus. Yeah. So we walk across the street. We park. We walk across the street. Everyone's there. All of a sudden, I see my Aunt Mary, Uncle John, and their two kids, Alyssa and Lane. And I'm like, I mean, maybe my mom said that Santa Claus was going to be here, because the whole day my mom had been looking at me and she'd be like, I'm so excited to see Santa Claus. And I'm like, cool. Me too. So we get there and all of that's happening, and the owner, the wife, comes walking out and goes, where is William? And so he says, like, here I am and stuff like that. And I could kind of tell because, like, they had like a line, and his sisters and like their families would not give up their spot. Like, they stood front and center, and whoever tried to walk in front of them, they were like, you gotta go around the back. They were like, you can't stand here. So I was like, okay. And so we're standing there, and Tammy comes out and talks to William, and I'm like, okay. So then he goes, she tells William, she goes, it should be on in a little bit, in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay. So me and him are standing up on the sidewalk. Everyone else is like in the street behind us. And he steps back. So I stepped back with him. I didn't want to be the only one on the sidewalk. And so he steps back. He goes, no, you stay up there. I'm just gonna go. And I'm like, well, this is awkward. So then my little cousin, Alyssa, comes up here, and she's like, hi, sissy, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're talking, looking at the lights. And then it got closer to 7:15. I think it was like 7:10. And my Aunt Mary's like, Alyssa, come here. And so she goes back there. So again, I'm all alone up there. So I kind of stepped off the sidewalk and onto like that little part in between where the sidewalk ends and the street. And I was standing there. He was still behind me. So that happens, and then you see the door open, and Santa Claus comes coming out. So I'm like, oh, Chris, here you go. So he comes out, and he goes, ho, 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 I've got a very special guest to see first, and then I will see all of y'all. So he comes, and he goes, where is William and Caitlin? And we're like, right here? Or no, sorry. He says, where's William? And he goes, I'm right here. And he goes, like he's talking to him, he goes, we have a very special light display for you. And you look up, and all of a sudden, I mean, everything, including those like reindeers that you can put in your yard, was red, white, and blue. There was the flag on the top of the roof, like everything was red, white, and blue. And he goes, thank you for your service. Santa Claus said that to William. And William goes, no, thank you for your support. And then all of a sudden, I noticed William like moved weird. So I looked back behind me, and he's on one knee. And I'm like, what are you doing on the ground? Because I didn't know. I thought he was proposing tomorrow. So I literally said, what are you doing on the ground? And he looks at me, and he couldn't say anything. He was so nervous. So Santa goes, Caitlin, would you look at that? And I look at the lights, and it said, in the lights, like written in the lights, it says, Katie, will you marry me? And I was like, what? And I turn around, and he had the ring open, and it was so sweet because he was so nervous that he couldn't get anything out except, will you? And I think I held my hand out before I even said yes. I think I went down to kiss him before I even said yes. Like, I didn't need to answer. Everyone knew I was going to say yes. So he goes, what's your answer? And I go, yes. And so he put the ring on me, and I kissed him before he even stood up. It was so sweet. I loved it. And it was just so super special. And it turns out that the melting pot the next day was actually for us to celebrate our engagement. And I remember the rest of the night we kind of drove around to some of my in-laws, because I'm one of those people, I want to tell people in person instead of over the phone. So I drove to my grandma's house. My aunt was there. And it was super, super special. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. From here on out, now that I've told our proposal story, we can get into some wedding planning videos. I think my dress shopping video will be up after, I think I've got 2 hauls, and then I will do my wedding dress video. And then, yeah, so if you want to watch the video, stay tuned because it's right here. But thank you. I love you. Subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.